Hello everybody and welcome. A while ago I made a video ranking all Destiny 2 encounters. I made the video because while people always rank the raids, not many people ranked all the encounters. Ranking the encounters is more accurate, however, because a raid can be bad but have one really good encounter. In this video not only will I be re-ranking the encounters, but I will then find out from the rankings of the encounters my favorite raids. So first off we gotta start with some rules. What is an encounter? I'd say it has to have a mechanic. Like in the Eater World jumping puzzle, you have to follow the leader and step on the plates. I won't be counting the jumping puzzles that don't have mechanics, such as the Deep Stone Crypt jumping puzzle, and I won't be counting the Gorgons in Vault of Glass because that isn't a mechanic, it's just being stealthy. I will start from the worst to the best, and have timestamps for the top 10 encounters, and then for the ranking of my raids themselves. And without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Staying as the worst encounter in Destiny 2, we have the Spire of Stars jumping puzzle. It's just long, really long. Unlike the Eater of Worlds jumping puzzle, which requires you to think, this jumping puzzle just takes a long time to get across, and it's boring. Additionally, if you decide to throw the ball around, it gets super tedious. Not a fun encounter. Again, staying as the second worst encounter in Destiny 2, we have the Garden of Salvation boss, the Sanctified Mine. Apart from the fact that it always glitches, the mechanics themselves aren't fun. One of the best things in the raid is feeling rewarded after executing something precisely and effectively. Banking 15 motes into a piece of rock doesn't make you feel rewarded. It's just not a good encounter. Again, staying as the third worst encounter in Destiny 2, we have the first encounter of Spire of Stars. This encounter is boring. Yeah, it's just boring. While using Trinity Ghoul to slaughter hundreds of Scions is fun, it can get tedious after 5 minutes. There just isn't much life in this encounter. It feels stale and flat, like bread at communion and church. At number 37, in the first encounter to change positioning from the original video, we have the first encounter in the Crown of Sorrows raid. This encounter is quite similar to the previous one, just more entertaining. The scenery is prettier and the mechanics are better. Also, melting ogres is fun, regardless of what you're doing. At just a tad better than the previous encounter, we have the Crown of Sorrows jumping puzzle, which makes it not the worst encounter in the raid. It's boring. I mean, shooting the crystals is fun, but it's just too long. Also, if you're a Warlock or Titan, you can just go over it, because screw hunters. At number 35, we have the Garden of Salvation second encounter. This encounter was actually extremely similar to the first encounter in Crown of Sorrows, because you kill ads, renew buffs, kill special things, and that's basically it. The only difference is being a runner is fun, so I guess this is slightly better. At number 34, being part of the only raid not ending with of or something starting with S thus far, we have Eater of Worlds jumping puzzle. This one is actually quite fun with the plates and the Scions and the switchy swappy thing. The worst part of this encounter is when you have to kill the ads at the end. It just takes too long. This is, however, the first encounter I would rather do than not do, so that's a big plus. At number 33, we have the first encounter from Vault of Glass, the Spire. It's just killing ads. I mean, it's better than the previous ones because it's not tedious, and I guess it's pretty as well, so that's good. Next, we have the Confluxes. It's killing ads, but it's prettier than the first time you kill ads, and if you use Wither Horde, you can just have a dance party instead of doing anything. At 31, we have the Castellum, the first encounter in the Leviathan raid. This encounter has always been fun, going around, grabbing the sticks, and then slamming them into the ground. The ads were always fun to kill, and mounting the big dudes with Celestial Nighthawk was always so much fun. But, I mean, it's just killing ads, and slamming things, so, I mean, it can only be so good. At number 30, we have the Scourge of the Past third encounter. This encounter was always the worst of them in the Scourge of the Past raid. If you're upstairs, killing the Shanks is boring, but if you go downstairs, you get to shoot tanks, and that's, fun. Always shooting large machines is fun. Next is the Oracles. Some people say this encounter is too long, but it really isn't. With all the new strats and stuff, it's a piece of cake. The best thing about this encounter is when you go really fast and you shoot them super quickly in order. It's a gratifying feeling, but that's basically all you get from it. At number 27, we have Morgoth, which is the worst encounter in The Last Wish, but I still love this encounter. The damage was really fun, and I actually liked the mechanics. The area was a little claustrophobic, and if 5 ogres beamed you off the map within about 2 seconds, it was always time to buy a new controller. At number 26, we have Crypt Security. This encounter was fun, but never earth-shattering. It was always a means to an end. Damaging the tanks was awkward, but calling out and reading was, and is, fun. At number 25, we have the first encounter in Garden of Salvation. This encounter is pretty fun, chasing the guy, killing the ads, connecting the dots, and the final run is fun, but it could be better. The connection things, especially at the end, were extremely fickle. I like a good challenge, but there's something between challenging and annoying. This encounter was pretty annoying. Next on the list, we have the Descent, also known as the Rapture. This encounter isn't good, it's fun. Whether that makes you hate it or love it, it's up to you. For me, it's just an excuse to use my trainee ghoul, so it's a good encounter. At number 23, we have the worst out of all the Hydra bosses, the Templar. The problem with this encounter is it's so easy. If you're decent at the game, you can skip the encounter by melting the boss in under 1 minute. It's pretty boring, but melting bosses can be fun. Also, if you get the two-tailed fox glitch, you can kill it within 7 seconds, so you know, it's pretty easy. At number 22, we have Kali. This encounter is one of the best first encounters in the game, and it's a very good starter encounter for this raid. Not too challenging, but warms you up to the symbol callouts and independent thinking, which is lacking from a lot of encounters. At number 21, we have Taniks. I might be slightly biased due to the fact that I've done this encounter over 140 times, but I do like this encounter. Getting damage right is extremely gratifying, and it's quite challenging for new players, due to the fact that everyone has a role, making it quite fun to Sherpa through. Not a crazy good encounter, but a good one nonetheless. At number 20, and the best first encounter in the game, we have the Scourge of the Past first encounter. Sparing around the place is always fun, and it gives this encounter a very fast-paced feel. Map reading is also always fun, and the music is very edgy, sets the tone for the rest of the raid very well. Right below that, we have the second phase of Argos. The problem with ranking these older encounters is that I haven't played them in half a year. This makes my feelings for them a little foggy. One thing I do remember though, is that this encounter is worse than the first phase. Even though you do get to damage Argos on this encounter, the mechanics are just more janky. At number 18, we have Baths. A lot of people don't like this encounter. I remember it fondly. The scenery is nice, it was slightly challenging, and the mad dash to the center was always fun. At number 17, and making the biggest change of any encounter on this list, is Vault. In my original video, I forgot to mention that I'd never read in the encounter before. This made me not like it much. Now that I've read in it, it's one of my favorite mechanics in the game. The reason it isn't higher is two reasons. One, it's a little bit too long, and two, only half of the people get to do the fun stuff. At number 16, and undoubtedly the best encounter in Garden of Salvation, we have the Consecrated Mind. I know I hated it originally, but it is a good encounter. The movement is fun, and the DPS is just right. Not too easy, but not impossible. A good encounter overall. Number 15, we have the Gatekeepers. I didn't know where to put this one. Whilst in the middle of writing the script, they patched the Prometheus lens bug, and I haven't done it without the Prometheus lens bug before. I'm guessing it's more boring, but it might be better. Due to that fact, its place on this list is sorta up for grabs. It could be higher or not. I liked it before, but now I might hate it, so I put it at number 15. At number 14, we have Callus. This boss was a joke. It was way too easy, but it's very nostalgic, and I love it. Also, I beat it while exclusively using Sweet Business, so it's a fun boss. At number 13 and number 12, we have the Valkor. That's not how you pronounce that, but I'm gonna keep going. Phase 1 and 2, they're the same encounter, but Phase 2 has a boss to damage, so it's slightly better in my opinion. I know they're both glitchy, but it's a good encounter regardless. At number 11, and putting this way higher than I thought I would, is Atheon. This encounter has grown on me. I like the callouts, I like damage, and I like the setting, even though I don't want to. 3-manning it was extremely fun, and I might have pushed it above where it should be, but I do enjoy this encounter a lot. Now we got to the top 10, and starting it off with one of the hardest encounters on this list is Atrax, which is hard unless you're a Titan with Curse of the Falling Star, because Titans are balanced. Regardless, it's a fun encounter. The mechanics can be surprisingly difficult, and you have to be good at managing operations to be an operator. It's a good encounter, deserving of number 10. At number 9, we have Argos Phase 1. Despite the fact this is 10 tiers above Phase 2, it's quite similar, but a lot better. I couldn't tell you why, but something to do with shooting the crystals is just a lot better. Trust me. Now we have some of the best encounters ever made by the Bungie team. These are way better than their predecessors. And at number 8, we have Heart Run. Is the mechanic hard? No. Are the visuals pretty? Not really. Is the music amazing? And is the perfect final encounter for the best raid ever? Absolutely. Doing this encounter when it originally came out was one of the best feelings ever. After overcoming Riven, all you need to do was deliver the heart. Even though you could wipe and retry, it was one of the most intense encounters ever. At number 7, we have Gauntlet. I never ran that much, but even so, this encounter is super fast-paced. Not many encounters have everyone doing a crucial role, but this encounter does. Everyone does multiple things at once, and when the pieces fall in place, it is an extremely gratifying encounter. At number 6, we have the Deceptions encounter. This encounter is just plain fun. The damage is so smooth, and I love it. The dueling responsibilities makes for a great dynamic between players. A lovely encounter, and it's a shame that it's preceded by some of the worst encounters in the game. At number 5, we have Scourge of the Past Sparrow Race.
Come on, you know why.
Jokes aside, I love this encounter. It's fast, fun, and exhilarating. I always smile on this encounter. Even wiping is fun. Everyone's screaming at the last person when they die in a hilarious way. It's by far the most fun encounter on this list, but I couldn't put it ahead of the next 4. At number 4, we have Shuro-Chi. There is no other encounter in the game that for weeks after the launch of said raid, there were LFGs specifically to get past this encounter. It was hard. One of the only hard encounters in all of Destiny, which made me love it. Even to this day, it's challenging. Great encounter, great pacing, perfect. At number 3, we have Insurrection Prime. If I could bring back any encounter, I'd bring back this one. The music was great, the mechanics are great, and all felt smooth. Additionally, the damage was changing locations led to a lot of strategy changes throughout teams. This meant a dynamic raid experience that isn't captured by many encounters. Also, the loot was top tier. That didn't affect my ranking of this encounter. I just wanted others to know that I did this thing 55 times to get Anarchy. So, leave a comment saying that you're sorry for me. Or something, I don't really know. At number 2, we have possibly the most overlooked encounter in the game. We have Galharon. One of my favorite things about Destiny, and more specifically the raids, is controlled chaos. This encounter is like a puzzle to keep a ravaged beast inside a box, and it's chaotic. You have to think about so many things at once. Deceptions, Galharon, axes, hands, crystal, buffs, debuffs, and other people's buffs and debuffs, adds, and of course, your survival. This encounter is just so much fun, and I can't possibly explain its chaotic nature. You'd have to do it yourself. And at number 1, there is no need for an introduction. You know what it is. It's Riven. In this case, legit Riven. Many people haven't done this encounter. It's been nearly a year since I've done it, hence the cheese gameplay. It was sadly able to be completely overridden by just having everyone melt Riven, whether that be with Cluster Bomb, Storm of the Ravens, Swords, or Outbreak Perfected. You could just delete Riven. But if you take the challenge and do this encounter legit, you are in for the best encounter in all of Destiny, no doubt. The pace was perfect, the challenge was hard, the music was astonishing, it was all packed into the best themed boss in any raid. Undoubtedly the best encounter in my mind. Nothing can change that. Now that we have all the encounters ranked, let's go ahead and determine the best and worst raids based on the encounters. I did this by adding up the score of all the encounters from the same raid, and then dividing them by the number of encounters in said raid. This got me an average score for each raid. Like golf, the higher the score, the worse the raid. Now, let's get started. Coming in as the worst raid in Destiny 2, with a score of 28.5, we have Garden of Salvation. The encounters are boring, slow, and tedious, and then on top of that they're fickle, and then on top of that they're glitchy. I'm open to Sherpa any raid except this one. It's my least favorite. The second worst raid in Destiny 2, with a score of 28.2, just 0.3 below Garden, we have the Vault of Glass. This raid would be higher if I didn't include Spire, but still, most encounters are just ad clear, and everything is way too easy. The third worst raid, and probably the most hated raid on average, we have Spire Stars, with a score of 25.75. The first 2 encounters of this raid are terrible, the last 2 are pretty decent, balancing out this raid to a bad score, but not a terrible one. The fourth worst raid, with a score of 5 points below Spire, we have Eater of Worlds with a score of 20.6. Yes, the first encounter isn't great, but the boss isn't too bad. Never was the worst raid, but it never was the best. Now we got the 5th best raid. And this ranking may get some people angry, but we have Leviathan with a score of 19.8. Having all 5 encounters in one raid be good is a hard feat, but Leviathan did it. Sadly, except for Gauntlet, none of them are exceedingly good, so it's got a good spot at the 5th best raid. With a score of just 0.05 better than Leviathan, we have the Crown of Sorrows at 19.75. So the first encounters of this raid are some of the worst ever, the last 2 are some of the best ever. I mean, this raid is just a tad better than Leviathan in terms of encounters. The 3rd best raid, with another score that is just 0.25 better than Crown, we have Deep Stone Crypt. This raid is just good overall. The encounters may not be god tier, but it's pretty consistent raid. 19.5, not a bad score. At the second best raid in Destiny 2, and my personal favorite, we have Scourge of the Past with a score of 16.25. I love the atmosphere of this raid. It's just fun. No encounter is bad except for the third one, and they are all fun. Great raid. The best raid in Destiny 2 with a score of 15.8. You know what it is. It's the Last Wish. The raid that saved Destiny. Seriously, after Warmind and Curse of Osiris came out, Destiny was dead. Then Forsaken came with this beauty of a raid and it changed everything. It's hard, fun, beautiful, intense, the perfect raid. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out my old video. It sucks, but I mean, you have nothing better to do with your life. That's about it. One word of caution though, don't subscribe. My upload schedule is non-existent and I might end up doing geography speedruns. I'm not joking, I actually did that. That's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! And if you have to be... No, what? That's not... And if you can have to be, that's not English at all. Worse in the first phase. Even though you do get to damage, it's... Raid be good is a hard thing to do, but Leviathan did it. But none of the encounters are ground-shattering. Ground-shattering? That's not a word. What? Ground shaking. What ground? Earth? What? I don't even understand.